In Update 7.3, we'll be having our annual Divine Codes refresh for Fire Emblem Heroes. In this video, we'll be going over all 30 common manuals you can buy in the next year, see what's on the table, what's worth keeping tabs on, and I like to discuss how to get the most value when you're skill inheriting. If you're spending your hard-earned Divine Codes, you want to get as many top skills from these units as possible. As a reminder, let's go over the basics of Divine Codes. Starting with the next update, all reward sources of Divine Codes Part 3 will become Divine Codes Part 4. There will be a new section labeled Normal 4 with 30 new common manuals to purchase. You can only buy these with Divine Codes Part 4. As usual, you must purchase common manuals in order from left to right for each section. The amount of Divine Codes goes from 400 to 800, 1200, 1600, and then 2000. This means it costs 6,000 Divine Codes total to reach the end. If you want to purchase older common manuals, you can exchange Divine Codes down from Part 4 to 3 to 2 and 1. You cannot exchange upwards. Please keep in mind that naturally, newer common manual selections are just generally better. You can use common manuals for free merges though, so if you really want another copy, then go for it.
Could this be where the flow of time has guided me next on my journey?
For whatever reason, the newer games are at the top of the normal 4 selection, so our first group is 3 Houses and 3 Hopes. Winter Monwalla has a decent inheritable sword. Winter Rapier Plus is an attack and defense unity sword. Maybe you can utilize it with the new Legendary Robin for unity stacking. With the 2 remaining spots, you can grab Attack and Speed Form 3. The first 2 tiers are on 4-star Rickon if you have him. Also, grab Ignis if you like. Monwalla's second rare skill is Special Fighter 3. We have the tier 4 version in the game now, although it's only on Winter Black Knight. The tier 3 is still an annoyingly good skill though. Second in the chain is Summer Dimitri. For a lot of units, Attack and Speed Catch 4 is the big eye catcher, especially for only 1200 Divine Codes total. Great A skill for offensive casts and flyers. Speed and Defense Menace is Dimitri's other great skill, which only he has, but it's very hard to get with Attack and Speed Catch 4. The only unit with Attack and Speed Catch 3 is New Year's Lyre, a 4-star seasonal focus unit. Maybe it will appear on a Heroic Grail unit, but I really wouldn't count on it happening soon. Most will probably have to settle with just the tier 4 catch, which is still honestly good. Third, we're going to have Monica. It is very doable to get both of her top skills. Attack and Speed Ideal 3 is on Muriel, who is a demote, as well as Host and Hans, who are Heroic Grail units. You need to 5-star them for the tier 3, but 20,000 feathers is worth it since it lets you get Speed and Res Tempo 3 at the same time. Monica is the only unit with this tempo variant at the moment. If you aren't super interested in tempo, then you could just grab all 4 tiers of Attack and Speed Ideal. That's fine too. Melchez is the 4th unit, and he's similar to Monica. You can get Attack and Speed 03 from Host and Ninja Shamir, 2 Heroic Grail units. Using them, you can get the extremely powerful Oath 4, as well as Speed and Defense Bulwark 3. Bulwark isn't for everyone, but it's a rare skill, so it could be a fun pickup. Attack and Speed Oath 4 is definitely the main priority though. Oath 4 skills got such a huge buff, and they work fantastically for just about any build. You can even pair with Attack and Speed Ideal 4 from Monica for infantry units, and for flyers, you can use it with Attack and Speed Catch from Dimitri. Pretty solid path for a strong offensive build. Speaking of offense, our 5th and final common manual for this section is Brave Byleth. She provides 3 crazy skills, including another source of Attack and Speed Catch 4. Since it will take a while before anyone gets 6,000 Divine Codes Part 4, maybe, just maybe, we'll get a more obtainable source of the Tier 3. If that happens, you can get the Tier 4 with Speed Preempt 3, which is the ranged advantage skill, or you can get Speed and Res Rain 3 for flyers. If a unit has Speed and Res Rain 3 already, and you don't need an A skill, you can get Speed and Res Hold with Speed Preempt 3. Hold skills only increase the range for the debuff, so if you aren't as concerned with helping allies, just getting the Speed and Res Rain 3 skill is good enough. If we cannot get a more obtainable Attack and Speed Catch 3 by then you will have to settle for probably one of Byleth's skills. Speed Preempt is interesting if you want to mess around with range advantage on a squishy fast unit. Overall, the 3 Houses and 3 Hosts group is insanely strong. 2 units with Attack and Speed Catch 4 is incredible, plus you got the amazing Attack and Speed Oath 4. Monica and Chez come with 2 rare skills in Tempo and Bulwark. If you decide to complete this path, you'll definitely get your money's worth.
You called on me. Now it's my turn to live up to that and do my part.
Next up is the Awakening Fates group. Starting us off is Ninja Male Korin, who has the solid Ninja Naginata Plus. We had Ninja Navarre as an Ephemera recently, and his Ninja Yari Brave Lance grants extra speed. The Naginata doesn't just boost speed, but it doesn't take any away either. Instead, it grants +4 true damage if you have 8 or more speed than the foe. It's great if you want extra damage on a unit who is decently fast. You can pick up the Ninja Naginata with Sword Sparrow 2 if you want a basic A skill. Otherwise, Corrin's other good skill to pick up is Special Spiral 3. Very relevant. Rearmed Ophelia just won her match in A Hero Rises. That means Switch Spiral 4 is on the banner and sparkable, possibly even free if she wins it all. I highly recommend having the tier 3 on hand to inherit the tier 4 from Ophelia, and then being able to pick up one of her other top skills, including the Arcane Red Tome. For only 400 divine codes, Ninja Male Corrin is very solid. Second is Flavia, who may not have the best skills depending on how you feel about them. You can get Attack and Speed Push 4 and Red Feud 3 at the same time. 4 Heroic Row units have Attack and Speed Push 3, Gonzalez, Petrine, Valentine's Effie, and Summer Leone. Effie and Leone have it at 4 stars. Use one of those to spend 1 slot on the tier 4 and pick up all 3 tiers of Red Feud. Push skills are not my favorite A skills, but they can serve a purpose if you need to lose HP for things like Wings of Mercy chaining. As for Red Feud, this is specifically to counter red foes, including support units. Definitely a skill that requires a more thought out game plan. Moving on, we have Fallen Lilith, who is chock full of good stuff, a 3rd unit with Attack and Speed Catch 4, and if we get the easier access to the tier 3, you can pick it up with Dive Bomb 3 for your flyers. The other option is Speed Smoke 4. You can get the tier 3 from Chad or Fallen Takumi. You can get the Catch 4 with Speed Smoke 4, but it really just depends on getting the tier 3 catch. Dive Bomb 2 technically works fine if you don't care about arena scoring. Getting all of these skills would be pretty amazing. For infantry units, honestly, Speed Smoke 4 might be worth getting alone. Fourth, we have Valentine's Lucina with 2 spicy inheritance options. First up, you can get Kesha Stance 3 by using Yen Fei to get the tier 2. From there, you have to choose between Savvy Fighter 3 and Attack and Defense Near Save 3. Savvy Fighter uses speed, so you probably want Kesha's Stance with it anyway. Attack and Defense Near Save is one of the better variants because the only melee magical damage comes from dragons. You probably don't need extra speed with it for generic tanks, but if you like satisfying skill inheritance value, then why not get Kesha's Stance 3 anyways? While Savvy Fighter may not be for a lot of arm units, Near Save basically can go on anyone. Last in this path is Brave Crom, and you can pretty easily get 2 of his 3 skills. Surge Sparrow just requires Swift Sparrow 2, so 5-star one of the demote or heroic row options, and then get Speed and Defense Near Trace 3 for your cows or flyers. If you instead want Infantry Speed Tactic, it just requires Speed Tactic 3, which comes from Dwyer or Nia's Air. It's an interesting skill for giving infantry allies no follow-up, and generally you want to put it on a non-infantry unit because of the tactics conditions. You'll have to spend 20,000 feathers for Swift Sparrow 2 or Speed Tactic 3, but definitely worth it after 6,000 divine codes. However, if you don't need Kanto, you can save your feathers. Swift Sparrow 1 and Speed Tactic 2 can be gotten from the 4-star units with those skills. That will let Crom pick up the slack with the rest of Surge Sparrow and Infantry Speed Tactic. For the Awakening and Fates group, only Flavia may be subpar, but that depends on how you feel about push and feud skills. Otherwise, we got Attack and Speed Catch 4, Surge Sparrow, Speed Smoke 4, and Savvy Fighter for your speedier units. Crom has Kanto with a no follow-up support skill. Lucina has the ever-potent Near Save. Even just Corrin's Special Spiral carries some big value, now with the tier 4 in the game.
Huh? Stick your hand in an open flame, would you?
Our third group is Heroes and Radiance, although it's more like Hero and Telius. Up first is young Ileana with some simple skill inheritance. Her rarest skill is low attack and res 3, and you'll be able to get Glacies with it. Attack and res gap 3 is interesting for specific buffing setups, but it's also on Elise in the demo pool. Definitely go for low attack and res 3 first. Next is Hatari Nyla, who has one ideal inheritance chain. You can use Athena, Tanith, or Near's Keaton for Sturdy Blow 2. That will let you inherit Sturdy Surge and Low Speed and Defense 3. Sturdy Surge is pretty rare and an interesting skill for slower units who may not have a follow-up attack built in. Max percent HP healing is insane, but you need a special and it's player phase only. You could use it on a faster unit along with low speed and defense, but obviously the pure speed option is Surge Sparrow. Could be useful if you want to patch up a lower defense stat though. Our middle option is Mini Mia. She has the rare Flashing Blade 4, which grants extra true damage along with its cooldown perk. You can get the tier 4 by using Summer Ilger for the tier 3. She's the only non-5-star with this skill. If you do this, then you can also grab Speed and Defense Tempo 3 or Odd Tempest 3. Mia is the only unit with this tempo variant if you want to mess with cooldown reduction and guard. Tempest skills grant extra movement every other turn. Definitely a more specialized set of skills, but more units may want tempo depending on their weapons. Interesting comment manual. Fourth is Ninja Shinon, back with his top fodder. Shinon was on the last Divine Codes selection mainly due to Deadeye, the archer specific special that pierces damage reduction. Deadeye can fall apart into very high defense units, but if you have enough firepower, it's a great special. This time, Shinon has an inheritable bow, the Ninja Yumi Plus, lots of potential between Ninja Yumi and Whitecap Bow. Basically, Whitecap has higher damage potential, but its brave attacks need to be earned with a big speed check. It's great into tankier slow units. For Ninja Yumi, it does still get bonus damage, but in case you don't outspeed a foe, it will always brave attack, and that is still valuable. Both weapons will still have uses even when an arcane bow comes out. If you have attack speed solo 3, you can get the tier 4 with Deadeye and Ninja Yumi. This is not an easy thing to do unless attack speed solo 3 just ends up on a demote or something. If you don't need the weapon, archers can grab Deadeye with low speed and defense, or just the first 3 tiers of attack and speed solo. Non-archers can get attack and speed solo 4 and low speed and defense 3, or you're gonna have to pick one. For most people, Shinon is here just for Deadeye. Last up is Flame Moosebow with some interesting fodder. His rarest skill is Dragon's Wrath 4, which turns the skill into a mixed phase skill from being enemy phase only. I think that makes a big difference in how valuable the skill is, since it now works on dragons who can play on either phase. Sadly, it's very hard to get Dragon's Wrath 4 with another skill since it's already extremely rare. If you don't go the full length, then you could do Attack and Defense Catch 4 with Dragon's Wrath 3. I think that's a bit of a shame unless you're using another unit with Dragon's Wrath 4. Attack and Defense Catch 3 is on Sedgar and Gerald, so it's easy to get the tier 4. Just not a lot of choices when trying to get it with Moosebow's other strong skill. If you don't specifically need Dragon's Wrath 4, this is a bit of a tough sell for 6,000 total Divine Codes. There are other alternatives to Attack and Defense stat boosters, so Moosebow may not be the most sought after for the price. Overall, Heroes and Radiance isn't bad, but I think it's mainly for those hunting very specific skills. Tempo, Dragon's Wrath 4, Deadeye, Sturdy Surge. There are 3 low skills, and this could be valuable if tier 4 lows do happen. Gonna have to wait and see on that one though.
I'll spar with you, but don't underestimate me. I get plenty of training in.
Our fourth group is for Binding Blade, Blazing Blade, and Sacred Stones, the GBA trio. First is Bridal Cecilia, who has some okay skills. She has the Bridal Orchid Plus, which boosts attack and res, and has bonus doubler for attack and res stats only. Honestly, it's okay, but Arcane Eclipse would make any red mage much more threatening. If you get Bridal Orchid, you can pick up Rally Attack and Res Plus. You just need Rally Attack or Rally Res, which is easy to get. Sadly, there's no easy source of base Rally Attack and Res. That means you can't get the Plus version with its Attack and Res Ruse pairing, nor can you grab Rouse Attack and Res 3. The Ruse skill is the most interesting option since Rouse Attack and Res is on 2 Heroic Grail units. If we get a free-to-play source of base Rally Attack and Res, you can upgrade to the Plus version while grabbing Cecilia's other skills. Next up is Ascended Joshua. As a note, if you get common manuals for Ascended heroes, you do not get the Ascended Florette. You need to actually summon those units. For fodder, grab Life and Death 3 from 4-star Gi or Salk. That lets you get the tier 4 along with No Follow-Up 3 or Green Feud 3. No Follow-Up's B skill value is definitely getting lower. We have multiple ways to get it as a status effect. There is a Sacred Seal, and Lumera even has it as a Heroic Grail unit. If a tier 4 version does come out though, then it may become insanely valuable to have on hand. As for Green Feud, again, it's very dependent on what enemies you're fighting. It could be quite strong if you specifically target green foes or there's a prominent green support unit. Either way, Ascended Joshua is okay. In the middle is Fallen Ninian, who has some non-combative skills. She has Blue Dual Infantry 4 for those that want to use their favorites in Arena. Will we see the tier 5 versions of these? Probably, unless they suddenly change arena scoring drastically. It's a very arbitrary system. Interestingly, in the normal 3 selection of Divine Codes, Dancer Percut has Blue Dual Infantry 3. If you use him, you can get the tier 4 from Ninian, along with Odd Pulse Tie 3 or Crossbow Attack. Odd Pulse Tie needs a high HP unit, but it counters instantly charged specials. Crossbow Attack can go on anyone for long range attack buffs. Crossbow Attack only requires Spur Attack 3, which is hilariously easy to get. You could grab it with the tier 3 dual skill, but the whole point of those are to keep up with good old power creeps, so kinda pointless to not get the highest tier. Next, we're gonna have Ascended Idun with very simple skill inheritance. You can get Sturdy Stance 2 from Maltena, Halloween Dorcas, or Ludwig. That lets you get the tier 3, along with Wily Fighter 3 or Defensive Res Near Save. Extremely solid near save fodder for an amazing army unit of your choice. Wily Fighter isn't bad either if you want quicker post. It neutralizes all of the foe's bonuses. Maybe I could see a tier 4 version in the far future as well. If you haven't been feeling this group so far, I can easily say Flame Lyn is worth the 6,000 Divine Codes at the end. Godlike Reflexes might stay as her only new inheritable defensive special. It requires higher speed to work, but it grants damage reduction against melee and ranged attacks, plus it grants true damage when it's ready. It only needs Execution to inherit, which is really easy to find. You can then get Shield Pulse 3 to charge it up on turn 1, although it requires a slaying weapon. Having Godlike Reflexes ready immediately is good, and Shield Pulse further reduces damage by 5. However, it's not 100% necessary. You can play around the initial cooldown and instead use things like Dodge, and those skills can grant more effects, which might be worth the effort. I really like Velocity with Godlike Reflexes to loop it because it has no guard built in. On the topic of looping, Speed Smoke 4 can help your Godlike Reflexes unit win speed checks, plus it just adds more dodge DR. You could get the first 3 tiers to get the tier 4 with the special, and you might as well grab Shield Pulse 1 and 2. I will say that if a Shield Pulse 4 happens and it's on the level of like Hardy Fighter, then you may just want to skip Speed Smoke 4. Remember, Speed Smoke only kicks in after you fight one time, so it's not a must-have. It is very strong for enemy phase brawling though. Overall, I would say the GBA group doesn't have the strongest start. Most of those skills are specialized or support based. They're not for everyone. However, Idun and Lin are incredible fodder units, definitely worth the investment if you want an easy savior build or you like Godlike Reflexes.
When technique and heart are one, the path to the true Astra will open.
Our 5th group is for Genealogy of the Holy War and Thracia 776. Starting us off is Crusader Scion Julia, who has the Luminous Grace plus Inheritable Red Tome, plus 5 attack and speed with 10 HP healing every turn. I mean, it's neat, but Arcane Eclipse goes burr. If you are getting Luminous Grace, you can get all of Julia's skills at the same time. Base Rally Speed and Res is on Tail, making it easy to get the plus version. Attack and Speed Push 3 is on 4 Heroic Grow units like we discussed earlier. If you want to save feathers and you don't need the Red Tome, you can get Rally Speed and Res Plus and Attack and Speed Push 3 and 4 by themselves. Honestly, not a terrible deal for the first common manual. Moving on, we have August, who has our first set of healer skills. Nudge Plus is the healing assist that shows an ally one space away. You can do this to get allies into an offensive position to attack, and it works nicely with the new Dazzling Shift since that gives your healer warping. You can get Nudge Plus with Firewood Bomb Plus, which grants plus 6 attack and res to all allies. Maybe not the most sought after, but not a ton of other healer specials outside our new combat ones. The prereqs for Nudge and Firebomb come from demoted healers you probably have extra copies of. Sadly, you cannot get either with the Even Recovery 3C skill, which is a healer specific one. It cleanses Devils and is another source of healing for your team. You can get Even Recovery 3 with Divinatore's Bond 4 if you want a tanky healer build. Divinatore's Bond 3 is on Winter Jafar, a heroic Grail unit. If you want, Even Recovery with base Nudge could be fine just for the shove part. You will get a pathetic 8 HP heal though, so keep that in mind. If you don't need the recovery skill, Divinatore's Bond 4 can be picked up with Nudge Plus or Fireflood Bomb Plus. If you want a tanky healer, Valentine's Lissa is our only free armored healer. She could definitely run Divinatore's Bond 4. If you don't care about healers, just grab all 4 tiers of Divinatore's Bond. Our midpoint is Tine, who is very similar to Joshua from the last group. It is quite easy to get Fury 3 from Hinata, and that lets you pick up the tier 4 from Tine. With that, you can get either No Follow-Up 3 or Blue Feud 3. Fury 4 is fine, it has its uses, but it's not for every build. No Follow-Up, as mentioned, is sort of being pushed out of the B slot. It's great, but being able to get it via other sources opens up other B skill options. Last, we got the Feud skill to counter blue units and support abilities. In general, you can sort of slap Fury 4 and No Follow-Up onto any decently well statted unit. It's just more stats everywhere. If we get No Follow-Up 4, then this could be very valuable to have if you don't want to use Lumera. As for the Feud skill, this is very much up to what units you run into. Fourth, we have Ascended Ishtar. Her inheritance is very easy. Like before, grab Life and Death 3 from demoted units so you can get the tier 4. That leaves space for Low Speed and Res 3 and Times Pulse 3. I believe this is the only common manual with Times Pulse for this selection, so that alone might be worth something. If you're building an Area of Effect special build, Times Pulse with Life and Death 4 is great. Low Speed and Res 3 is fine too, as long as you don't get touched. Last up is Ascended Marita. Your prize for spending 6,000 Divine Codes in this group is Vital Astra. There is almost no reason not to take it after all the spending. You just need base Astra to inherit it, which is really simple. That leaves room for Spurn 3, Attack and Speed Solo 3, or even Tempest 3. Spurn could see a tier 4 upgrade this year, and that would be 100% worth taking if it happens. If you can get attack and speed solo 3, then you could upgrade to the tier 4 along with Spurn 3 or even Tempest. Going from solo 3 to 4 though is only a single stat point, so honestly it's not the biggest deal if you don't care about arena scoring. Finish 4 skills are kind of becoming the new choice for Vital Astra users though. Again, if you've come this far, you have to take Vital Astra. Overall, Genealogy and Thracia is a decent group. August has some healer skills, and this year seems to be focusing on new healer skills to go with them. The stat booster in this group aren't that crazy. Push 4 and Solo 4 are okay, but Finish, Catch, and Clash 4 are crazy along with the new remote skills. Fury 4, Life and Death have their uses, but again, the newer options are very strong. This group could age well, especially if you want Vital Astra at the end. Potential tier 4 upgrades for no follow-up and Spurn would be really good for speedy builds, and Times Pulse 3 can lead into Times Pulse 4 for Vital Astra spamming. It's going to be a while before anyone reaches the end, so things could change a lot for this group.
A power bestowed by a god. Am I truly worthy to bear such a thing?
The last set of common manuals are for Heroes, Mystery the Emblem, and Echoes, Shadows of Valentia. We have more healer skills thanks to Hatari Zane, and he might be worth grabbing if you have the new Ascended Ilencia. Zane has Dazzling Staff 3, which you can get with Physic Plus. If you want his Serpentine Staff Plus, then things can get messy. This staff has Fatal Smoke built in, plus it deals 7 out of combat damage within 2 spaces of the enemy. Healing is starting to become pretty crazy thanks to things like Finish 4 or Bulwark. A Serpentine Staff with the Dazzling Refine could really mess up sustain based builds. Sadly, if you grab this skill, you cannot get Dazzling Staff 3, only the first 2 levels. This might be okay though if you plan to inherit from Ascended Ilencia. She provides Dazzling Staff 3 and the new Dazzling Shift. That leaves room to grab her Light's Restraint offensive special. Obviously, your healer won't be doing big damage like Ilencia or Dual Elise, but it can at least be respectable with the Wrathful Dazzling combo and Light's Restraint special. You can then have Fatal Smoke's deep wounds applying after combat. Interesting setup for a potential healer. Now, the last major skill Zane has is Defense Res Solo 3. Not the craziest stat booster, but it can go on any non-healer if you want. Next, we have Ascended Celica with one very clear inheritance package, another unit with Life and Death 4, which makes it easy to grab Inventory No Follow 3. As I've been saying, No Follow-Up is getting pushed to other skills, including this C skill. As a reminder, the No Follow-Up status requires a speed check, and this skill does not grant No Follow-Up to the user. You're going to want to put it on a support unit, maybe a dancer or healer. Very interesting skill if you want to empower some of those scary speedy units like Flame Lyn, for example. Our middle manual is Spring Maria. Her most interesting skill is Flow Flight 3, which is still exclusive to her. This is the player phase version of Wyvern Flight, and it neutralizes follow-up and denial. It requires a speed check with a decent speed advantage in your favor, and then you do a defense comparison in combat. You need a flyer with decent to high speed and also good defense to get some extra damage and flat damage reduction. It's an interesting skill, but like the Pegasus and Wyvern Flight type skills, these require specific stats to run them. If you want Flow Flight, you can get attack and defense push 4 with it. The tier 3 is on Heath, Lex, and Violent. Not exactly the best A skill for Flow Flight, but it's there. If you prefer Rally Speed and Defense Plus, you can get the base version from Oscar or Groom Marth. If Flow Flight isn't really interesting to you, you could just get the dual Rally and Push skill. However, this is the only Flow type B skill in this year's batch of common manuals, so honestly, you may just want to save it in case you do find a good candidate. Our next common manual has a bit more universal selection. Spring Dorothea totally broke the trailer graphics because there was so much text for her skills, they finally started to cut out extra stuff like Kanto's entire descriptions. The most doable skill inheritance for Dorothea is to get Rouse Attack and Speed 3 from Hans. That can upgrade to the tier 4, and you can give Speed and Res Far Trace 3 to a Mage Cavalier. You can also do Attack and Speed Catch 4, but as we've gone over, it is insanely hard to get the tier 3 Catch skill at the moment. For those with the tier 3 Attack and Speed Catch, you could actually do Attack and Speed Catch 4, Rouse Attack and Speed 4, and 2 tiers of Speed and Res Far Trace. Outside of arena scoring and it being incredibly unsatisfying, you only lose -1 speed and res debuff with this deal. It is possible to transfer Dorothea's entire kit to another Mage Cavalier, but again, you need the tier 3 catch, and this one is just very hard to obtain. If anything, you could just take Attack and Speed Catch 4 by itself. The final common manual for this year is Ascended Fjorm. Very easy skill inheritance. Grab Steady Posture 2 from 4-star Raisin or Thea and get the tier 3 from Fjorm. That leaves room for the very annoying Hardy Fighter 3, or you can go for Attack and Res Far Save 3. Save skills are great, but my god, Hardy Fighter has been so hard to cut through for most units. It will take a while, but if nothing takes Hardy Fighter completely out of the meta, a free way to attain it is just amazing. For this group, we have some very interesting skills. Zane's Staff is quite neat and could be great for potential healer builds later this year. Infantry No Follow and Flow Flight are very rare, but skills you need to build around well. Thracia is just a treasure trove of good stuff, no complaints, and obviously, free Hardy Fighter will be worth the Divine Codes. That'll be it for the common manage you can buy with Divine Codes Part 4. It can be a long time before anyone amasses 6,000 Divine Codes to hit the end of a group, so things can change. It was obvious, but you can get some crazy value if Attack and Speed Catch 3 ever becomes easier to obtain. We have 4 units with the Tier 4 catch in this batch. Personally, if I had to choose a generally best group to start with, I think it might have to be 3 houses, multiple Attack and Speed Catch 4, Attack and Speed Oath 4, Speed Preempt, and some interesting things like Bulwark and Tempo. Fate's Awakening seems pretty solid throughout as well, with Flavia being the only iffy one if you don't care for feud skills. If Lows get tier 4 upgrades, then the Telios group has 3 of those skills. For the GBA path, I think it ends incredibly strong with a savior build setup into Godlike Reflexes from Lyn. From Genealogy and Thracia, you have a path for Vital Astra with multiple B skill options. No Follow-Up, Time's Pulse, Spurn, and of course, Vital Astra itself. The last group is a bit unique, but Thea and Ferm carry crazy skills no one would be sad with. Since this year has been kicked off with the new healer upgrades, having Zane and August early in the groups could be worth tracking. Serpentine Staff could make for a very fun project. Good luck getting what you want later this year. You may also want to see what you can still redeem with the previous Divine Codes and maybe dip into the Part 4 ones if you're very close to another common manual you want. Just don't spend them all recklessly. That's all I got for now. I will link last year's Divine Codes Part 3 breakdown video if you want to refresh your memory. It's a good time to take stock of how many Part 3 Divine Codes you still have, and if you haven't spent any, then you could really get some really good skills for future builds. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.